Welcome back.
Thank you.
To another episode of Potions for Breakfast podcast.
I'm Izzy.
And I'm Alyssa.
And today we are actually going to be sharing some of our own personal ghost stories.
And happy Halloween.
And happy Halloween. Yep. Well, post-Halloween. But
it's Halloween.
It's Halloween in our hearts, yeah.
Forever and always.
And actually before we started, I was doing some thinking about weird habits that I have.
Oh god. Which is a lot of weird ones.
I have a lot of weird habits. The one in particular that I'm thinking of, and you'll have to tell me if I'm crazy for this too, but before I get in bed, I take my nightly shower and then I walk to my bed and and I have my bare feet, and I have this thing about stuff on the floor when I'm walking, you know.
And your feet are wet?
Yeah.
Yeah, same.
Yeah, and so when I get into bed, I go like this. And then I slap my lotion on my feet, and then I put my socks on. But Ben has this really annoying habit of getting into bed without doing that, which I know is which is what most people do, because it's more normal.
People.
But when he gets into bed, he brings all the little dirt morsels with him, and I can feel them in the bed. And when I have a system.
You should probably stop right there before you say more.
Listen. I have a system where I have my blankets on top, and then I have the top sheet, and then I have the fitted sheet. And my system is when I sleep on top of the top sheet, and when I'm done with the top sheet, I take it off, and then I have the bottom sheet, and then my bed is all clean. But when Ben stays the night, he drags the dirt with him into the bed, and he sleeps under the top sheet.
Does he know how you feel about this?
No, I've never told him before.
Is he gonna watch it?
Probably.
Hear it for the first? Okay. Ben, I'm sorry.
And so he sleeps on the bottom sheet. And so when I'm done with the top sheet and I have to take the top sheet off because it's dirty and I need to sleep in a clean bed, my backup is no longer my backup because it's dirty too. And then I have to take everything off and do it all over again.
You're anal. You're a sociopath.
I'm not a sociopath.
I'm just kidding.
Maybe a little. I'm like...
No. Everyone's got their quorks that just
I feel
quirks
like
them.
that's an excessive quirk, even for me. Sometimes I have to stop myself and be like, are you okay? Do you need to talk to someone?
Well, I think I'd rather have your quirk than what I do in bed, so every night.
What do you do in bed?
Well, I can't make the noise I make because it only happens when I feel it. It sounds so bad, but like when I crawl into bed and it's cold, and I'm wearing, just my Spanx and like sometimes not a shirt on, and I crawl in and I'm like, I do this thing that comes out of me, and it feels so good. And I'm like, oh
my god.
And I do this every time without fail. When my bed's cold, I'm like,
weird sounds make me uncomfortable.
It's like a... Never mind, I'm not going to finish that sentence.
But every once in a while, I'll get like a shudder, and it's like it's an audible shudder. It's like, but I'm not in bed. I'm just like out somewhere.
Goosebumps?
Well, maybe. I got someone trailing behind me.
Something. Alright, yeah, so anyways, nice little intro there. We're pretty much going to be doing or telling stories about our own personal experiences or stories or anything that we know of from friends or whatever. So.
Do you want to start it off, or do you want me to do it?
Sure.
We'll get your story out of the way because I know that you're
my rough one.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, we'll start off rough. It wasn't like I was ever a skeptic.
Is that me?
But no, I couldn't.
Oh. Sorry.
It wasn't that I was, but like, or wasn't. Sometimes I just need,
she just is.
I need the proof. And I got my proof to put me over the edge. I always believed, but like, it's always kind of like, you're just, what's the word I'm thinking of? You're blindly believing something until you get that factual proof.
Oh.
You look so confused over there. Anyways.
Well, I was thinking of, like, healthy skepticism, but I think that your direction is in the opposite way.
Probably. Anyways, I tend to be opposite of most people.
I always had, like, a healthy skepticism. I believed, but I was like, well, there's also certain things that it's probably not going to be. Yeah. You have to look at it objectively.
Yes. That too.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it took for my own personal experience to full on 110% believe. So, this one time at band camp, just kidding.
I thought you were being serious.
No!
Like, this is not the story we discussed.
No. I was at an old friend's house, and we were down in her basement. And we were both just sitting on the couch, watching TV. She was doing, like, laundry or some shit. I don't know. And so, when you walk down, there's stairs, and you come around the stairs, and there's, like, her living room. And at the other end of the house, there's a bar there, and it's all long, like, it's connected. It's like a long, like, whatever. Mm-hmm. Anyways, so we were sitting there chilling. All of a sudden, we both, like, stood up at the same time. All of our hair stood up on our body. I mean, stood up. All of it.
Even the back hairs?
Even it was, like, right here, those ones, and it was, like, the whole body,
See,
like, the whole body went into, like, a goosebump.
I'm Italian. I've got a lot of hair. I've got hair in places.
Shh. Don't finish that. Anyways, so, yeah, we both stood up, and all the hair on our body stood up, and literally my heart fell right out of my ass. And we froze. And out of the corner of her eye, literally was a tall, lanky, black silhouette man with, like, a top hat on. Like a 7-foot, lanky, just kind of, like, cowboyish in a way, but, like, not really.
I'm still convinced it's Abraham Lincoln.
It's not Abraham Lincoln. God damn it. It was, a malicious presence, okay? So,
okay, well, that's different.
It just, anyways, so the presence that we got wasn't super friendly out of it. So anyways, like, the fact that we both stood up straight, we both were like, this, and I literally was like, did you see? She's like, yes. And I'm like, tall, whatever I was explaining. She's like, yes. And I'm like, okay. Behind the bar? She's like, yes. And I'm like, shit. Like,
I can, like, see the terror in your face.
Mine?
Yeah.
Are my pupils dilated again?
A little, yeah, actually.
I don't know. It just was not a good feeling, and I actually saw something which, already terrifies you enough. But the feeling that we got off that presence.
Yeah, presents.
Yeah. I was thinking of Christmas presents, but...
Oh, it's coming. Don't worry. It's okay. Be patient.
I was on the naughty list this year, so...
Egads.
Anyway, so, she was like... I was like, I'm gonna leave, because, like, screw this. Like, I don't want to be in this house with that kind of presence. Like, that was not a good feeling. It was not a good vibe. Probably one of the top feelings I've ever felt being completely terrified. And actually scared for my life. Anyways, so she's like, well, no, you gotta come with me to my room. Like, you can't just leave me here. And I'm like, well, you realize if I come with you in your room, I have to walk back out in that same vicinity that we saw him by myself. And I did it anyways, because that's what a good friend did.
You're such a good friend.
I will never, ever do that to anyone else.
You know what a really good friend would do? Would grab me a tissue so I don't have to keep wiping my eye. Your story is just so emotionally moving. The waterworks, I can't control
I cannot
them.
with this bitty. Anyways.
Thanks.
No, you're welcome. Anything for you.
I know.
So yeah, that was my moment of believing. Truly.
Didn't you have to go back and, like, watch the house for her?
Yeah, so I ended up... Thank you for that.
You're welcome.
So she ended up, like, leaving. They were supposed to be leaving, like, a couple of days after that or something on a vacation for 2 weeks. And I was kind of like, quote, babysitting the house. Just, like, going over there, making sure, you know, like, trash gets brought up to the house, da-da-da, and whatever. And guess who ended up saging her house? And I literally had to bring a friend over because I couldn't be in that house by myself. And even she was like, this is not a good feeling. This is not, like, there is something here. Is pretty much what she was saying, so... sorry to drag you into that, Sydney. I'm so sorry if you ever watched this.
I can't imagine what it's like to...
But I ran out of there. I couldn't complete the seance, I guess.
You couldn't complete
the seance, but yeah, I turned around and ended up going home and doing it to my apartment, and I did, like, my whole apartment. Not that I ever felt anything there, but, you know,
just the risk of it following you.
Yeah, in case of something following, you know, or attaching, but yeah, I don't know. So that friend's house that it happened in, she ended up later down the road, or, like, not too long after that, I guess, but she was like, well, it came from your roommate. She has that vibe. She carries that, and I'm like, I've never once felt that, and I'm pretty sensitive enough to, like, feel... You know?
Yeah. And
I always feel a vibe. And I'm like, I've never felt that way. Even living in a huge house by myself, where it was kind of creepy looking on the inside, but, like, I've never ever felt that way until her house, which turns out she's just kind of that person.
Yeah,
so.
I was going to say, it sounds like whatever it is probably...
attaching onto her and her negative aura and whatever. I don't know.
Yeah, that's...
So, there was that.
Do you have any other ones?
I do, but we can bounce back and forth.
All right, I'll go.
Because I know yours is like 80 years long.
Which one?
What one were you telling?
I told them all, like, back to back to back about the house.
It was the one with Ben, I thought, right?
Well, there was the heater one?
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah,
maybe.
I'll tell that one, and then I'll also bring up the one that I brought up in the last episode about that morning that
and the lights and stuff like that.
Oh, right, yeah,
that one.
I'll get to that, but actually I remembered this story that I wanted to mention, so I'll start with that before I forget it, because I know I'm gonna forget it.
It's
okay. So we were in Tombstone, Arizona. That's kind of like where my belief in the supernatural really solidified itself. I'd always, like, grown up watching Ghost Adventures, and my dad always made fun of me for it because he thinks Zach Bagans is a goober.
Well,
he is.
To be fair.
Yeah.
he is.
And it was my 10th birthday, and my parents had brought us to Tombstone, Arizona to celebrate me and my sister's birthday because we're back to back. And we were on this ghost tour at night, and we were kind of, like, in the beginning of the town. So the town essentially is just, like, one main strip and then, like, a couple of very short alleyways, I guess you could call them. It's the 1800s, 1700s, whatever. But we were taking this ghost tour, and there was a building on the corner where this road went down, and then you had the main strip. And so the front doors were kind of, like, diagonal facing the main strip, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay. And the rest of the group was kind of, like, making their way forward, and I stayed behind a little bit just to take pictures on those little teeny tiny digital cameras.
Oh my gosh. The Kodaks.
Mm-hmm. I had a pink one.
And of course you did.
And I faced this doorway. There was nobody in front of me. And I faced this doorway in front of this building, and I took a picture. And I had the flash on and everything. And when I looked back at the photos that I had taken that night, the one in front of the door was, like, orange, and in the middle of it was just a torso. There was, like, no head. There was maybe, like, down to mid-thigh and maybe, like, half elbow. But there was just a torso wearing overalls in the middle of the orange photo. Yeah. And I think it's somewhere. Because I'm pretty sure we uploaded all of those photos to the computer somewhere. So I'll have to do some digging.
You'll have to find it.
I think I might be able to find it.
Yeah.
But that was really what solidified my belief in ghosts. And
Fair enough.
the negative energies that you were talking about, I haven't felt it in my house.
Well, count your blessing, because it's not a good feeling.
Yet. But I do kind of know the feeling that you're talking about, because I got a similar feeling walking into the Birdcage Theater in Tombstone, Arizona, where they had this, like, this big gunfight, and it's, like, prostitutes and
Oh my god.
gambling and things, drinking, all that kind of stuff. It was just a very negative energy, and it just felt off. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, that was the first story that I wanted to tell that I didn't want to forget.
Sorry.
It's okay.
I'm sorry that
I'll
we
be
have
okay.
these interactions and encounters with these.
Well, I kind of think it's interesting because
It's cool and fun.
It tells you
Well.
that we're not just the only things in this universe.
Yeah.
Which I think people make entire careers out of discovering it, so it's a whole thing, but it's very existential.
That would be so cool to have that as a job.
I would love to be a cryptozoologist. That's my dream job.
Well, go do it.
I don't think that cryptozoologists...
I'll be the one behind the camera.
I'm sure it's like a hobby. It's more like a hobby. I just want to study them. I don't want to, like, go hunting for them.
Why not?
I don't know.
You don't want to be a ghost
I don't wanna-
hunter?
I don't want to look for Bigfoot.
Ghostbuster? Bigfoot. Pfft, there's already enough up in those Rocky Mountains. Just kidding.
Are you? I didn't think that...
I think
Here's the thing.
my definition of Sasquatch and Bigfoot is probably different than most.
Well, they never really started marketing Bigfoot and Sasquatch in the Rocky Mountains until recently. At least not in Estes Park specifically. Maybe they did it in other mountain towns, but I had never seen anything about Bigfoot until just before the pandemic. But maybe I'm crazy.
That doesn't make you crazy. I'm trying to pick him up. You're gonna have to lean forward with me. Come here. Come say hi to the camera.
On an adventure.
Hi, everybody. My name's Leonardo DiCaprio.
How you doing?
So yeah, that was a good story though.
Thank you.
I did just remember. I don't
It's
remember.
my gateway story.
It's your gate. Well, yeah, no shit. No, that is your gateway story. I remembered when you were just talking about that. I don't know if I mentioned it in the Stanley Hotel, the first episode. When I went up there with Linda. Hi, Linda. That when we went and did the night tour or whatever it was last year on Halloween, and I probably told you about the part where we went down to the lower level of the main hotel, and that's where their break room is through that little creepy hallway and the back door. Anyways,
Yeah, I think we briefly touched upon it because that's the like those are like the tunnels that the servants use to kind of stay hidden.
Mm-hmm. And so they brought us down there, and we were one of the first ones down there, so we ended up towards like the back end of it, and there was nobody behind us. And somebody, and they had, while this was being stated, there was a ghost down there that tends to kind of pinch people, but in like in a friendly manner or something like that. So
and, like, pull girls' hair, right? Women's
or
hair.
something like that. What are you doing, Leo? You getting
I'm just getting comfy.
getting comfy? Okay.
I'm just getting
But I got pinched on the back of my thigh, and I don't know if Linda really believed me right away, but I'm like, I'm not gonna make this shit up. I literally got pinched in the back of my thigh, and you can't tell me otherwise. But that whole night, which I forgot to also mention in that first episode, that we have quite a few pictures with orbs, actually.
Yeah?
Yeah, I'll have to show them to you. But, yeah.
I've stayed at the Stanley twice, and I've taken the ghost tour. I don't remember anything.
Have you seen
happening.
orbs and stuff like that?
I didn't take any pictures that I can
No?
remember. I never had anything happen to me both stays at the Stanley, but they were fun. It's a beautiful hotel.
It is.
Gorgeous. Oh, you can hear him purring. Listen.
You're such a lush. Yeah, big old ham. Oh, but yeah. But yeah, there was that. So.
Let's see. Okay, I guess I'll get into my the stories in my house now.
Yeah.
So
And then I'll do mine after.
So when we first moved in, I can't remember if this was before my mom left or after my mom
You
left.
said it was right after.
The couch story?
Yes.
Okay. Then
Yep.
I'll start before she left, because this is like her story.
Okay.
So she was painting the guest bedroom, and and she was all by herself. I think that we were at school or something like that. My dad was at work, and she swears up and down that she felt somebody push her in the corner. Damn. Which is like, I've never felt anything negative in that house, but that obviously makes you wonder.
Yeah, well, maybe a trickster ghost or like...
That's what I'm thinking.
Because if you don't feel negative energy, then, I mean...
Yeah, unless it's just negative towards her for some reason.
Maybe.
I don't know. But, so yeah, that was kind of like the first part of everything that started going on in the house. And then after she had left and it was just me, my sister, and my dad, we had all the furniture down in the basement, and the couch didn't have any legs on it, so it was just flush against the floor. And one day, our remote controls just went missing. They just completely disappeared, and nobody knew where they were. They went missing for like an entire week, and nobody fessed up, nobody said anything, and I don't think that it was any of us, but when we started moving the furniture back upstairs, when we lifted up the couch in the basement, the remote controls were lined up directly next to each other underneath the couch. And it was physically impossible for them to have slid under there on their own.
Like, there's no room under the couch.
There's no room. It's flush against the floor.
That's crazy.
And then, following that, we had a couple of separate occasions where we just randomly found food that we didn't even have in the house inside of our microwave. And they were just like...
What?
And the weird thing, other than finding food that's not in the house, is they were lined up perfectly on, like, paper towels and, like, paper plates. Like, one of them specifically that I'm thinking of is we found a bunch of bagel bites. And we don't usually have bagel bites in the house because they're kind of like a special occasion food, I guess, at the time. Before we became adults and started making grown-up decisions. We didn't have bagel bites in the freezer just all willy-nilly. But we found bagel bites in a perfect circle on a paper plate, kind of like a spiral, I guess, if that makes sense, where you have the two layers. And they were just all perfectly lined up in a circle, and nobody knew where they came from. And then getting to more recently, that was probably back in 2017, 2018-ish. So just after we had moved in, if we're talking about pre-pandemic, and I guess the other ones that I had were post-pandemic. So my dad was on a business trip, I think in Washington or something like that. And it was just me at the house. My sister was working. And I heard these footsteps, like, walking up and down the ceiling that led from my dad's bedroom at the time to the kitchen. And I heard it for, like, 20 minutes straight. They were, like, heavy, heavy footsteps. I tried to rationalize, like, maybe it was a raccoon, or maybe it was like a squirrel, because we do get some bigger raccoons in the neighborhood just with all the trash that people have. They're big. They're like medium-sized dog big.
Yeah,
huge.
They can get big. Yeah. That's what she said.
But they sounded like heavy boot steps. Like, you know, someone walking, like if they were wearing boots, you would know.
Yeah.
Like, those aren't just regular shoes; those are boots. And eventually it was going on so long that I called my mom and I asked her to come over, and I'm like, Mom, I hear something in the attic. Like, I don't know what's going on. It's not going away. But it would follow me. I would walk down the hallway into the kitchen and I would hear the boot steps walking with me up and down.
That's creepy.
Yeah. And of course, my mom arrives at the house about 15 minutes later, and then they just stop. And I never hear them again. As soon as she walks
That's
in, they
crazy.
just stop.
So you don't think that it was like a chance of anyone breaking in?
I don't think so. Because in my head, if it was somebody, we would have heard them leave when my mom got here.
I suppose,
And
yeah.
we have the security cameras. And I would have heard them afterwards, I think, if it was somebody else. If it was like a person.
Yeah.
In my head, I think. I don't know. I don't know what it was. Maybe we did have a squatter and they were just really bad about remembering to grab the food that they cook in the microwave.
That could be.
Maybe.
Do you ever see that movie that...
Don't. No. I'm not even going to entertain the possibility. I would rather it be a ghost than an actual human being.
Well, it's just a movie.
Just a movie? Based on true events, probably. I would imagine. They don't call them squatters for hex and giggles.
Hex and giggles.
My dad watches this.
You're an adult.
I know, but...
Sorry, Dad.
And then, you know what? I'll let you tell another story so I don't, because I've got a lot. So I'll let you tell another story.
I suppose I could tell about the house that we used to live in back in, my later elementary / middle school years. It pretty much is like a house that should be straight out of a haunted horror movie.
You said it used to be a funeral home, right?
Yes, it did. So the house was I can't remember. It was either late 1800s or early 1900s, and so that's already 100 years old. If not more. So, and it used to be, from what we were told anyways, that it was an old funeral home. So,
You know, there are only certain states where you have to disclose if somebody was murdered in the house or
They
died
should.
in the house. I think it should be a general thing in every state, but
some people would probably pay more just to live there.
probably.
But, so yeah. That house really reminds me of just, about as bad vibes as the Amityville Horror.
That one was
That's
bad.
a solid one.
Yeah. I just listened to a morbid podcast episode on the Amityville Horror.
Yeah.
Yeah, where the entire family was butchered by somebody.
The dad.
DeFeo. No, it was the brother.
You sure?
Mm-hmm.
I thought it used to always be the dad.
I think it was the brother. I'd have to look into
Either
it,
one.
but-
Some family
It's
member.
not
I don't know.
One of them.
If you know, drop a comment. But yeah, so it was like an old funeral home, and it definitely looked like it. It was... I didn't have, the best feeling there, but it, also wasn't, the basement, for sure. The basement was... None of me and my other 3 siblings at the time could go down there alone. Doing laundry... Especially when, the others...
to always be the laundry room.
It's always the basement, for one, too. Which, I don't know why, but it's valid. It's valid.
The basement or the attic?
And I have that attic in my room in that house. In my closet.
Oh, no.
Poor Alyssa.
That's a double whammy.
It is a double whammy. But, I just... So the basement, you walk down these stairs, and right off the stairs, there's a room right here, and a room right here to the right, and they're all, kind of connected. And then straight off the stairs, there's another, actual room through a door, and it's the bigger basement room out of there, and then in that big room, there's a side room, and, a little weird, creepy-ass closet, that's where you would hang a body. That's where, I remember they put our punching bag in
Do you
there.
think about that a lot?
Yeah?
Where you would hang a body?
Maybe certain people.
Oh.
Just kidding.
It was so sad. So I've been on a mini-series binge on Netflix. So the last couple of days I've just been watching mini-series because I don't like to get too invested in long-term series.
So you've been watching the Menendez brothers?
No, not yet.
You
That's
should.
on my list.
Linda's watching right now.
But this was such a good show. And if you haven't seen it, you have to watch it. It's called Godless. It's a limited series on Netflix. Kind of like Tombstone vibes. Very Western 1800s drama movie. Or drama show.
Dramatized.
Yeah. It's only about 7 episodes. They're about maybe like an hour and a half each. So they're kind of longer, but in the beginning scene, like the opening scene, the sheriff of the town, or I'm not really sure what kind of law enforcement he's part of, because it's not of the town, I don't think, but it's in Creede, Colorado is where the opening scene is.
Lovely.
In like the late 1800s, like 1866, I think it was. And these outlaw gang comes into the town and just murders everybody except for one woman, I think, and she's like singing this creepy song while the law enforcement is coming up into the town to kind of like assess all the damage. And the sheriff turns around and he sees a little boy hanging from a lamppost. It was really sad.
That's messed up.
Yeah. I don't know why that just reminded me of it, but...
Well, I did say, like, a hanging body, so...
Yeah.
That's probably what reminded me of it.
Anyway, check that show out if you haven't seen it.
I'll have to watch it.
It's so good.
Remind me when you leave.
Yeah.
I'll check it out.
When you're by yourself.
Yes.
Okay.
I like to get my adrenaline up and going.
I get you.
So, yeah, anyways, down in that bigger room down in the basement, we discovered there was writing on the wall, like little kid writing, and we tried to read some of it. Like, it was all over the walls, like 3 walls full of frickin' writing. Like, those walls were his journal. And from what we could kind of read and gather, he had been locked down there in that room and was being starved, as far as, you know, whatever happened later, or, you know, if he ever made it out of the room, I don't know, and maybe that's the vibe that's down in that basement, is from that kid, I don't know, but
I didn't even think about that. When you told me the story the first time, I didn't even think that was a possibility.
I didn't really think about it either till now.
But you'd think if it was like a kid, it would be more of like an innocent...
I don't know, as a kid, too,
that's a rough...
It was kind of hard to decipher, kind of, like, what presence, like... I don't know, I just felt super uncomfortable. Like, whether it was, like, an adult presence or a kid or anything, like, it just was not a great vibe.
Have you looked into the history of that house?
No, but maybe I should.
Records?
I should.
I've tried so hard to look into public records on my house, and it's really hard to find anything on actual history other than... like legal documentation that's required when you're buying a house.
As far as, well, back then they could probably get away with not saying anything or making it on legal documents. But
yeah, and that's even if whatever happened there was actually discovered, because it's just as easy that somebody would be able to get away with that. Nobody knows.
Yeah, I don't know. So yeah, pretty much like when you would have to run up those steps to go back on the main floor, like. I vividly remember one morning my other siblings were at their other parents, and obviously my brother, I don't know where he really was at this time, but I had to go down there and grab my laundry in the morning before school, and I just remember, I think the light, there's one on the top of the stairs and there's one on the bottom. I can't remember. Anyways, I just remember that the light wasn't all the way on in the basement, and so when I shut the dryer door and grabbed my stuff and I literally booked it to the top of the stairs, I just felt like there was just somebody chasing me up the stairs. Like, that's the vibe that you get. Like, you cannot be down in that basement alone. So...
I used to get those vibes in my old house, but I was also a kid, so I mostly just chalked it up to, like, just a regular kid being afraid of the basement. Yeah,
but also don't ignore your feelings.
Yeah. Well, I grew out of it. Like, I didn't have that kind of feeling. Because for a time, I was sleeping in the basement bedroom that we had down there at the old house. And it was fine. Like, I didn't...
You didn't?
I mean, well, okay.
Well,
Well,
there's a well.
Well, now that I think about it, I do remember just like this general feeling of discomfort knowing that the basement room was right next to the bedroom, like just separated by a wall.
Yeah.
That was like a general feeling of discomfort, but
Fair enough.
I had my cat, so I had little socks.
He likes you.
He spent 9 hours pawing outside of my bedroom door once until I finally let him in. I missed him.
How did you wait 9 hours? I couldn't stand 1
I
minute.
wanted to sleep.
Just let him in and hold him down.
Yeah, he was
But-
such a sweetheart.
So yeah, there was a basement there, and then I remember one afternoon, it must have been during like a school break or summer or something, and all of us kids were in our rooms upstairs, and ow, and I know I missaid it the first time, but it was not windows opening. It was the bathroom upstairs door shut and slammed. And then we also heard a toilet flush. And we were the only ones home. And you could definitely always hear when someone's walking up the steps because those are wooden, old, creaky stairs. Like, you can always hear, like, creak, creak, creak. So, yeah, we were home, alone, us four, and I'm pretty sure, was that the day that we ended up going across the street to our neighbors and stood there for, like...
It was that bad?
It just... I don't know.
Look, when you gotta go, you gotta go.
I know that
Even
there
when
was
you're
a time.
ghost. Apparently, you don't have that to look forward to in the afterlife. You still have to go to the bathroom.
Apparently.
Eat.
Huh?
Which means you have to eat. If
You
you're going
feed
to
off
the
the
bathroom.
souls of humans. That's,
Oh,
I'm just kidding.
And you just poop them out.
Yeah, we're gonna make that one a blooper. So yeah, that house was just not a good feeling house, but thankfully, obviously, we moved out of there.
She made it. She's still
we're
alive.
We're here,
as far as I know.
Yeah.
Although I did see Sixth Sense last night with my mom,
Yeah,
and the little boy's like, "I see dead people,"
I see dead
and
people.
the psychologist, he's not aware that he's dead. So maybe you're dead, and I see dead people. Or vice versa.
Well, there's a part of me that kind of wishes that once in a while, but you know. Just
I
kidding.
think Leo and
Jokes
Lynx would be
aside.
really sad if you... Yeah,
You would come back and haunt people with me, because it's in my will that when I go, you go. Because you don't belong to anyone else.
Aww.
My point taken.
He's
So yeah, pretty much to wrap up that house scenario, the attic was in my bedroom in my closet. So definitely
Did you ever hear anything?
not really, but I was just, and this could have been my like imagination as far as like we had always watched like scary movies and like rev ourselves up, and already had watching The Grudge. It's like,
That was the first horror movie I ever saw.
yeah, it just that sits there in the back of your mind, so that doesn't help it at all. But as far as like the creepy, like that, it was nothing compared to Down in the Basement. But
You know
so
know what?
that's a wrap up on that.
The scariest movie that I ever saw as a kid, and this is after The Grudge. I saw The Grudge when I was in 5th grade. The movie that gave me nightmares for 2 years following the first and only time that I watched it. You're gonna laugh at this. It
The
was
Human Centipede.
No, I saw that. That one wasn't too bad. It was a Muppets Christmas Carol. But I have a reason. Because the bed that my dad had built for me had a railing.
I like to be under the sea in an octopus's garden in the shade.
Listen, this is my childhood trauma. Okay,
Okay, I'm listening.
My dad had built this railing around my bunk bed, and every night, ever since I watched that movie, I would imagine like the ghosts coming up from the railing, little Muppet ghosts. It terrified me. I was so scared.
How old were you?
I was probably 10.
Oh, that's even worse. Okay.
I held on to Santa Claus until I was like maybe in 7th grade until I finally accepted the reality. But here's the cool thing. One Christmas morning, we woke up and there were, like, hoof prints on our roof. I'm not saying Santa's real, but, like, maybe.
Yeah. That could, yeah, fair.
Thank you. Thank you for validating my feelings.
I just don't want, your imagination to get hurt.
I appreciate that. My inner child feels accepted.
You're welcome.
All right, where did I leave off? I left off...
You gotta tell that story about the heater and the light down in your basement, I think.
Oh, yes. Okay, yeah. So I'll start with my basement stories, and then I'll finish up with the
Feisty.
upstairs stories. So I used to live in my basement bedroom before my dad moved to Alabama. And one day, my sister was at work. Again, I was home alone.
Anyways.
So I saw this, like, my bedroom door was cracked a little bit, and my sister's bedroom is right next to mine to the left. And just out of the corner of my eye, I saw this black figure walk past my door and into her bedroom. And that same night, I swear she said she felt like something was staring at her when she got home, like in the corner.
No, thank you.
And then another time, my dog Kona, this was before I had Seneca, but he always wanted to go outside, like, in the middle of the night. But he's not a very talkative dog unless there's a reason to talk. Like, he's a husky, but he's a quiet husky. And one night it was like 3 o'clock in the morning, and he just stood at my door growling for like a good 3 minutes, and then he just stopped and went and laid down.
That's
yeah.
Did you wake up to that?
I think I was already awake, and he just started growling. But 3 o'clock in the morning, it's the
witching hour.
Yep. And when I started dating my boyfriend, Ben, I was still living in the basement at the time, and I have this heater that I use religiously because I just like being warm. And I've never had any issues with it before. I never had any issues with it after I moved out of the basement. And when he started spending the nights there, he was always kind of like a skeptic. He never really believed. Like, he had experiences, just given...
Yeah.
And we were in bed watching a movie, and I had told him about what I'd experienced in the house, and he kind of, like, humored me, like, believed me, but not really. And we were laying in bed and just watching a show, and he brought up something about what was going on again, and so we kind of started talking about the paranormal happenings in the house. And while we were talking about that, the heater that was already on, it was at 72, and all of a sudden it just started slowly increasing in temperature, and you can hear it because it beeps every time you press the button to turn it up. And it just kept beeping and getting higher and higher in temperature until it reached, like, almost 90 degrees. And I'm trying to turn it down as the heat's increasing. Like, I'm trying to turn down the temperature, and it just keeps increasing and increasing. And, stop. And we would, like, ask it questions while it was doing that. And so, in the beginning, before it started increasing so rapidly, we would ask it questions, and it would, like, beep every time we asked it, like, some kind of question. Almost like a response. It didn't beep every single time we asked it a question. But like, it's almost like it was saying yes to the questions that we were asking. Which maybe that's in my head. You could probably say it's malfunction or whatever.
Yeah, but
it never happened before, and I had been in that basement for years before Ben and I started dating. And all of the electrical work was new because my dad had fixed it all, because it's an old house. It was built in, like, it's not as old as the one that you had, but it was built in, like, the 1970s, I think it was. So about 50 years old.
I wonder if somebody died in it.
I'm getting to that.
Oh.
Kind of, but not really. So that happened literally every single time Ben came over, but it never happened when I was alone in that basement. Only when Ben came over. I swear to God, it has some kind of attachment to him. Because I think it, from the dreams that he's had, and from the experiences that he's had, which I think he's had more than I have in the going on 2 years that we've been dating.
Maybe the ghost doesn't like him, or maybe just the ghost is kind of tormenting him. I think the ghost is trying
to communicate with him, is what the vibe that he gets. But he says that in one of his dreams that he's had, there was something in the laundry room. And the laundry room is right next to my basement. But I can get goosebumps talking about this. But the laundry room is right next to my basement bedroom. Like, literally just separated by a wall. He said that there's something in there, and specifically the drain. Which our drain backs up all the stinking time. And
no pun intended.
No pun intended. All the time it backs up. Maybe there's a body in there.
I don't know, man. Maybe you should look into that.
No thanks.
Get a medium over there.
Sometimes some things are better left unknown. Well, maybe. He knows the medium.
Bring one over.
Well, I might see if he's comfortable talking about it when he comes on the show, because I think he said that he wants to come on the show and talk about it. But
good.
There's a lot of
we can make a Ben sandwich.
We can make a Ben sandwich.
Excuse you.
He was
jealous. I was talking about another man.
But yeah, so eventually I moved out of the basement after my dad left for Alabama. I took over the master bedroom, which, by the way, that mattress, he has a Stearns & Foster. It's so comfortable. It's like sleeping on, like, the coziest bed that you could possibly think of. You know when you're really tired and you see a messy looking bed and you're like, that looks so good. That's what it feels like.
Nice and fluffy and cozy and...
Yeah. Okay, so moving on to the most recent happenings. Like, I'm talking about within the last few weeks.
What?
Yeah.
You didn't bring these up last time,
did
you?
Mm-hmm. You'll know. And if I skip over a story that you remember me telling you,
okay,
let me know, because I know that I have a lot. This was the one where it was 7 o'clock in the morning, and I'm passed out in bed, and Ben's sleeping next to me, and he kind of like nudges me.
Oh, yeah.
And he's like, babe, he's like, and I'm like, what? And he's like, nothing. I just wanted to make sure you were still in bed. And I said, okay. And I just went back to sleep. I didn't think much of it.
Right.
I'm like, okay. And the next morning, or not the next morning, but a couple of hours later when I wake up, I asked him, I said, why did you want to know if I was still in bed? Like, where do you think I was? And he said, because I saw a white figure come from the bedroom door and walk over to the closet door and just kind of like stand there and then disappear into the closet. And as it was moving to the closet, Kona was following behind it.
No, thank you. Well, at least if it was something bad, Kona would be sitting there growling, not following it.
Yeah, I don't know if it's like two different things going on, like maybe something good is upstairs and something bad is downstairs, or he's just like, Kona was just like cautious and trying to figure out what it was.
And you wanted me to move into that house.
I would.
My ass would have had the basement, wouldn't have I?
Leo and Lynx would have protected. You could have the spare bedroom where my mom was pushed.
Okay.
Well, knowing what I know now, I probably wouldn't have had you do that, but
yeah,
you can still come over.
Yeah, I'll come over.
Okay. Seneca hasn't had any issues. She's also like the happiest little dog ever.
She's the derpiest dog ever.
She is the derpiest dog. She is. She was chasing her tail this morning. She has toys. So I know it's not a lack of mental stimulation.
Well,
well, She has a brother that she torments.
As she should.
They play outside all the time. She does great on walks. She just loves chasing her tail.
Yeah.
And she makes her little grumbly noises.
I miss her. But yeah.
Do you have any others?
No, you still gotta tell that light switch one.
Oh, right. Okay, yeah. Going back to when I lived in the basement, it was one of those nights where you, like, fall asleep earlier than you intend, and so you kind of just keep waking up in the middle of the night. And I had this color changing light bulb in my lamp at the time. And when you turn it, if you turned it twice, back to back, that's when it would change color. But if you just turn it once, turns off, and then you turn it back on, it's the same color. So I fall asleep, and the light bulb is on white. It's on a white light. I fall asleep, I wake up, and the bulb is red. The light is red. And so I get up.
Red rum. Red rum.
I get up and I change it back to white. I make sure I change it back to white, and then I turn it off. So when it turns back on, it should just be a white light. Go back to bed. Wake up again at like 2, 3 in the morning, and it's red again. Yeah, the witching hour. Turn it off, change it back to white, and then I turn it off, and then I go back to bed. And then like 5 o'clock in the morning rolls around, I wake up again, and it's red. And at that point, I'm like, okay, I'm not sleeping tonight, I guess. It doesn't want me to sleep. And so I just start my day. But it was like, it's physically impossible for that light to change unless some sort of coincidental electrical malfunction. But like I said, all
that many times though?
I know. Well, that's why I'm saying like coincidental. But like I said, all the electrical stuff in the room was new, and you have to physically turn the knob consecutively twice in order for the light to change. So it's not like you just turn it off and then you turn it back on and the light changes color. So
that's creepy.
Yeah, well, that's all my ghost stories so far.
I'm sure I have more.
I'm sure
none that stick out as bad as the last two. So. Yeah. So, I guess that might be almost a wrap-up. Yeah. I do have a few things to mention.
Oh, you have your book?
I do. So, the book recommendation for today, this video, is going to be Her Soul to Take by Harley LaRue. If they can see it. It definitely goes along with, like, kind of like the Jersey Devil, like that's kind of how I picture in a way of a certain character in this book. It is the only
picture
book
the character as this Jersey Devil.
So they describe like this haunting demon thing.
Oh, okay.
That it has like antlers. It crawls on fours. Looks like that's what I think of.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Oh, speaking of which, I do have another story, but I'll save it for another video.
No.
No.
I want to know.
Anyways, it's very similar to this.
Okay.
One of those reoccurring dream situations.
Oh, okay. Oh, that's the other thing I forgot. So we'll
save it for a video part 2.
For another time.
So this is a dark paranormal romance or paranormal dark romance. I read this last year. There are 3 books to it. But 'tis the season-ish, so I recommend this. It's one of the few books that have actually given me goosebumps because I was so scared reading. So, check it out. It's good. It's got some spice that even I'm like, hey, daddy. But check it out. Yeah, it was good. So, we do have an Instagram. Go check that out. We post kind of like reels and bloopers a little bit, and just updating everyone, letting them know that we posted.
Sneak peeks, I guess.
Yeah, sneak peeks. So go check that out. All of you lovely followers and subscribers.
Oh, you guys were so nice and so supportive on our last video. That was really nice.
Yeah, so we thank you, and for all those that have viewed the videos and not hit that sub button, go hit it. And hit that notification bell.
Only if you want to. You don't have to.
But we are pretty funny.
If you want to.
And we are we're gonna have some good content.
Yeah.
So all year round.
Trying to adjust it so that we might be able to post twice a week. We'll do like one true crime or horror story, and then the second, I think we're trying to aim for like a regular weekly Reddit readings.
It'll be kind of a weird transition the next, I think, month. We'll try and get in the groove of it. And
or if you have
see
any
what we can
personal
do.
stories of your own that you want us
Yes,
to
that
share,
was another
send
thing.
us an email.
Yes, and that will be down in the description box below. So, yeah, I think that's it. Do you have anything else to add?
No.
All right, well.
All right. Well, we'll see you guys next week. Bye.
Bye.